Hello and welcome. This is the DEVI Show, 30 minutes where we fight the good fight, taking on your issues, detangling webs and holding people to account. In our lineup, thousands traveling in taxis which were meant to be scrapped a long time ago.
They must pay. Just imagine how many lives people they lost from these cars.
Why haven't they been scrapped and how did they get on the road in the first place?
Please leave my premises.
Why?
Because I don't want to talk to you.
But these vehicles kill people and you sold. But why aren't you talking to me?
I don't have to.
Every year, thousands of South Africans are injured, some fatally, in taxi accidents. In the absence of an effective transport system, millions of South Africans rely on minibus taxis to take them places. But what if the taxi you get onto next was never designed to carry people safely? For the majority of South Africans, getting from A to B means taking a taxi. And taxis have, by and large, replaced our failed public transport system. In fact, close to 65% of all urban commuters use minibus taxis. That equates to around 1.6 billion trips every year. Trips that sometimes end in tragedy.
15 people, including 2 children, were killed in a crash between a minibus taxi and a truck.
7 people died earlier today in a taxi crash on the R61 near King Williamstown.
Despite efforts to make the industry safer, studies have counted almost 70,000 taxi accidents in a single year. Stan Bezuidenhout is a forensic accident reconstruction specialist.
The thing that always stands out with taxi crashes is that it literally looks like a bomb went off, like carnage.
Scenes of trauma that remain etched into his mind's eye.
Bodies and screaming people and blood and all kinds of stuff all over the scene.
74-year-old Nomsa Ndima and 13 other members of her family have experienced the horror firsthand. They were on their way from Johannesburg to KwaZulu-Natal in 2008. Her younger sister, Kanyisile Kaba, who also joined them in the taxi, was getting married. Barely out of Johannesburg, disaster struck.
Endleleni asazi kwenzekani. Yayi overtake. Ngabona mina i-overtake i-truck. Ngibhekile bephuma ngama-window.
Bride-to-be Kanyisile was asleep when the accident occurred.
I was holding my child. I heard my brother when he said, "Uyasibulala," that's all.
Ngayibona iya phezulu. Ngabona iya phezulu le khumbile. Ngabona imhlophe ngaphansi ngathandaza ngathi baba, ngagcina ngithi baba safa.
And then when I wake up in the hospital. And then I can see now I'm at hospital and then I'm trying to remember what's happening. My mind failed.
Kanyisile spent what was supposed to be her honeymoon in hospital with a neck injury and broken bones. Her sister Nomsa was bedridden for 2 months.
Amapheni ayengiphethe. Yo ngangifisa ukuthi ngangiyafa. Ubuhlungu engangibuzwa ngangifisa ukuthi ngangifile ngingezwa lobuhlungu.
Other members of their family were fatally injured.
2 of my sister and 1 brother.
Instead of celebrating a wedding, the family found themselves planning funerals. The taxi they traveled in was a converted Toyota Quantum, a vehicle favored by thousands of taxi owners since the TRP, or Taxi Recapitalization Program, kicked in 2005. It was run by this man, Tycoon Vivian Natterson of Neo Africa, for around 15 years. The TRP was meant to remove older and unsafe taxis from our roads. So when they had to upgrade, many taxi owners like Henny Maile stuck to Toyota and went to see CMH Toyota in Alberton.
You only told me that here's the car on the floor, it's a taxi, it's a Quantum, 16-seater. So I go for it.
Henny took his taxis in, received the 50,000 Rand scrapping allowance for each vehicle and started replacing his fleet of 5 old Toyota Hi-Ace taxis. The taxi he was offered by the salesman even had additional seats, which meant more money.
And I thought it's safe for everyone.
But time will reveal otherwise. Henny de Beer was a banker involved in financing new taxis at the time.
There was a huge demand for these quantum taxis for the plain reason that Toyota is the market leader.
With the high demand came shortages, but some dealers, it seems, made a plan.
Toyota dealers started converting panel vans to substitute these 14-seater quantums. And they converted these panel vans to 2 passenger carriers, mainly 16-seaters.
Fake and real quantums look the same unless you know what to look for. The only sure way is to check is via the VIN or chassis number. When it reads JTFP or JTFH, it's a converted panel van. And it's one of these taxis that Kanyisile and Nomsa were traveling in. They never realized it was illegally converted, and Henny Maile was in for a shock too.
When I was supposed to renew my permit, and they told me that the government says that I don't have a right to use that car as a taxi.
Coming up, we confront the dealership where Henny bought his illegally converted taxi. These vehicles kill people and you sold... But why aren't you talking to me?
I don't have to.
Welcome back. You're watching The Devi Show. The taxi recapitalization project kicked off in 2006 with the simple aim of replacing old unroadworthy taxis with new safety-compliant vehicles. But some of the vehicles may have looked like a taxi, but was never intended to be a taxi. They became known as coffins on wheels.
This allowance is only accessed by those who voluntarily surrender their vehicles to be scrapped.
The taxi recapitalization program was a huge money spinner for Toyota dealers, but at the same time, it became mired in controversy.
I can tell you now, it's the worst form of deception that could have taken place anywhere in the world.
These converted panel vans were more expensive than normal quantums because 16 seats were crammed into the vehicle. But chopping up a panel van, adding windows and seats, weakened the structure of the vehicle.
Now, when you take a panel van, it's designed to transport goods on the floor, not to ever have people sitting up, so it's not designed for that.
And these vehicles tend to understeer in corners, and then they run off the roads. It's a structural problem. Also, the floor where the seats are bolted in, there's no support structures as in a purpose-built quantum.
Passenger seats were also not secured properly.
They merely put a plank in, normally of pressed wood, which is a cheap sort of version. Then they will bolt it in on that plank and the thin metal plate. The structure is compromised.
While Professor Thuli Madonsela was public protector, following a host of complaints, her office spent time investigating these taxis between 2014 and 2016.
It was very clear that the reinforcements inside a normal quantum, they prevent, for example, the roof from being easily clipped away.
Some Toyota dealerships had third parties doing the conversions, and they would sell the converted taxi, as in Henny Maile's case, ready to roll on the showroom floor.
We had Peterson's Taxi World, and all these people, Bus Truck in Asandu, they were doing conversions for major Toyota dealers.
These taxis came with a host of other issues too. Illegal conversions couldn't be insured and warranties were voided because the vehicle's structure had been tampered with.
I feel very bad, and that car stays for a year without any income. I struggle to make a living.
Those with first the group of business people that were affected. And then members of the public, where the same challenge was that firstly, you were likely to die or to be seriously injured if the illegally converted taxi had an accident.
Toyota eyasitemesha impilo yethu yonke. Ya sibuhlungu ngayo. Le Toyota sasigibela ukuthi yayingekho right ukuthi.
Please, they must stop doing this cars. They must do the proper kumbi, not this one.
These conversions became known as coffins on wheels.
Toyota has got blood on their hands, whether they like it or not.
So, Henny approached Toyota South Africa as early as 2009, not realizing that Toyota had been aware of this problem since 2005, as this warning letter to dealerships shows.
In that letter, they are warning that the people are going to be injured, they are warning they're going to be killed. They tell the dealers it's not approved in South Africa, SABS hasn't tested it.
It apparently did not deter dealers, and Henny estimates that around 6,000 conversions were done between 2005 and 2008.
Then there's a second portion to that letter. They say that should a customer want a conversion, we suggest the following. And then they tell the dealers, please don't be seen as selling a panel van or a converted panel van to a taxi owner. You must sell it as a panel van. Make sure that it's invoiced as a panel van.
And that is exactly what CMH Toyota in Alberton did when they sold Henny Maile his fake Quantum 2 years after Toyota sent the letter. Desperate, Henny tried to return the fake taxi to the dealer.
I spoke to the dealers and I explained to them several times, not only once, I think 5 times or 6 times.
Henny's pleas fell on deaf ears. Peter de Villiers is the dealer principal of CMH Toyota Alberton, where Henny and several other taxi owners bought their taxis. So we went to see him to get some answers.
He's not here at the moment. We went out to the building site.
Where's the building site?
That side there next to Macro.
To Macro. So you'll be coming back?
We won't be coming back anytime.
So we headed for the site where a shiny new dealership was being built. But he had already left when we got there. We headed back to CMH Toyota's current showroom. So we're back now checking if he's back. He's coming. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Hello.
How are you? Peter?
It's me, yeah.
Devi from the DEVI Show. So I'm here to ask you a couple of questions about quantums. Specifically, you've been dealer principal here for a very long time, am I right? Since what year?
I've actually been advised that I don't have to talk to you.
Who advised you that?
My attorney.
You don't have to talk to us? Okay, but I'll still have to put the allegations to you so that you know what this is about, right? So you don't have to answer me if you don't want to. So basically the allegation is that you sold converted panel vans as new quantums here on your... And we know that there are a few people that you've actually done that to. Are you aware that those vehicles actually kill people? So what I'm trying to figure out is...
Please leave my premises.
Why?
Because I don't want to talk to you.
But these vehicles kill people and you sold... But why aren't you talking to me?
I don't have to.
You do have...
I don't have to.
Just hold on a minute. Let me get this straight. And he's locked the door. No, we're not going to break in. This particular dealership stands accused of selling converted panel vans as quantums. And the dealer principal, who was dealer principal here at the time, behaves like that, like a little boy, locking himself in his office. De Villiers may have evaded our questions, but the reality for dealers like CMH Toyota Alberton is simple. They cannot avoid accountability indefinitely.
Toyota had record panel van sales between 2005 and 2008. I 100% am positive that Toyota is actually, if they recalled these vehicles in 2005 and told everyone, warned the Department of Transport, warned NRCS and SABS that something is wrong with their systems, but they kept quiet because they were making money.
We tried to arrange an interview with Toyota South Africa's CEO, Andrew Kirby, for comment. He declined to go on camera and instead sent an email saying that when Toyota South Africa became aware that panel vans were being converted into minibus taxis, it took steps to curb the practice. Toyota South Africa has never condoned these conversions of panel vans to minibus taxis. They also say that in the event that a vehicle is unlawfully converted, it is the responsibility of the relevant law enforcement agencies to impound the vehicle. But how do they explain the delay of 4 years before notifying the authorities?
By 2009, there was a formal warning. People were told to bring back the ones that were already bought and so that they be recapitalized, but there was no process to ensure that all of them were brought back.
The government says that all the panel vans, they must be stopped. They put a mark on the disc.
When the bomb exploded at the end of 2008, Toyota's panel van sales dropped by 53%.
And while the scrapping incentive was upped from 50 to 124,000 rands, owners of converted panel vans still lost a lot of money.
You bought a taxi for 700,000 or 500,000. Somebody says they're going to give you 124,000. I remember a woman crying during the public hearing in Mpumalanga, who was a business owner, to say she didn't know she was buying a defective product.
And while the authorities dragged their feet, the death toll was mounting.
I've recorded in the excess of 170 crashes. If 3 people were killed, that gives you close on 500 people killed. Now, if you then take the people that's injured, that will run into the thousands.
Toyota South Africa partially distances itself, but Toyota South Africa also knows that Toyota Japan distanced itself completely from the certification of the converted quantums.
Criminal attorney Eric Breyer says it's time Toyota is held accountable.
Toyota are the ones responsible. They might not have done the conversion themselves, but they gave out the recipe. So they were definitely complicit in allowing the conversions to take place.
I think money was everything to Toyota. If you follow the money, where's it going to end up? Toyota South Africa, Toyota Japan.
The cost of it is borne by the poor. But if we also look at the intersection between poverty and race, you will then realize that who are the majority of people who find themselves in these poor taxis. And some of them even carry children in townships and rural areas. It's quite a sad situation, really.
Coming up, Toyota is in for a big fight.
Many people only do the right thing after a court of law has commanded them.
This is the Devi Show, and on this episode, an issue which has been quietly bubbling right under our noses. Between 2005 and 2009, thousands of converted panel vans were sold as people transporters. But those vehicles were not meant to carry people. An accident in one of these reduces your chances of survival substantially. So how was this allowed to happen? Government was slow to act at first, and it was only in 2019 that a revised taxi recapitalization program was implemented with a specific mandate to get fake quantums off our roads. Antis Services was appointed, with none other than Vivian Nattison as director. The tender came in at 640 million rands. But after 5 years, the statistics are anything but impressive. A mere 17% of these dangerous taxis were taken in and destroyed.
It is a real problem, and even as of today, it still can kill and will kill people. And one of the other problems is other road users.
But recently, a new scandal emerged. It seems, despite the promises of scrapping, money appears to have been made on the side.
I got a call from one of the taxi guys and says, Henny, I bought 2 engines from the scrapping agency can you tell me, is it legal?
Henny asked for more detail.
He paid 45,000 each for these vehicles, 90,000 cash. They gave him invoices. I checked the VIN numbers. The vehicles were demolished.
In other words, these were parts from taxis that were supposed to have been scrapped.
You can make between 50 and 150,000 if you sell the parts of one of those quantums, because they're still in a good condition.
If a person is stripping a vehicle, the proceeds should go to the owner of the vehicle or alternatively forfeited to the state. And if it's taken for personal use, then there's definitely a criminal activity that's taken place.
Bafana Mkwabane is the director of the Taxi Recapitalization Program at the Department of Transport. It wasn't news to him.
There's an investigation on that came to us, and we responded, and we're still waiting for them to conclude their investigation.
It was clear that something was amiss at Antis Services.
The purpose of the scrapping agency is to demolish that vehicle totally.
That means body, engine, everything crushed, gone forever.
No parts, nothing must be sold because it's paid by Treasury. It's government money.
In correspondence sent to Henny, Antis had claimed that they were given permission to sell the parts, but that's not true according to the department.
That issue is still under consideration. Currently, that thing has been put on hold until the investigation has been concluded.
If this is true, there were substantial amounts of money to be made, and Antis and Nattison have a lot to answer for. So we decided to pay Vivian Nattison a visit to get a grip on the situation firsthand. We wanted to show him the invoices for the taxi engines that were sold when, in fact, his company was supposed to have scrapped them. Knock, knock. I'm here for Vivian Nattison. Please, thank you so much. Devi from the DEVI Show.
Can you come down? I have Devi from the DEVI Show is here for you.
We waited in vain. Nattison never emerged from his office, so we formally requested interviews from him and the current CEO of the TRP, Visham Naidu. Both declined an interview. Henny believes a lawsuit may be the victim's only recourse against Toyota South Africa.
We've got the one for the vehicles that need to be compensated, and then we've got also the injuries. And what we've determined, and if I can combine the two, we're looking at a class suit in the region of about 20 billion rand.
Compensation that sadly won't bring loved ones back.
Toyota South Africa could lead the process because it's their brand that is at the center of the harm that was unleashed on South Africans.
Nomsa has been unable to work since the accident. She needs help just to get into a taxi to collect medication for many lingering injuries.
Ngakathol accident bengizenzela yonke into bengizenzela izandla zami nangenyawo zami.
Kanyisile eventually got married 3 months after the accident, but still struggles with physical exertion. The sisters are lucky to be alive.
They must pay. Just imagine how many lives people they lost from these cars.